Representative Delaney, I believe you had a question.
The two important provisions in this bill. Let's go to the one that may be easier. The one dealing with allocation of proceeds from a property tax referendum.
You think that's easier?
Yeah. Well, it's easier. I think it's easier. You have to get to the end of the bill to understand what's going to happen. But your suggestion would be that, for example, if IPS had a referendum here last fall, am I right that the proceeds of that successful referendum are going to go to the traditional public schools with buildings owned by either IPS or by the building corporation? Is that where that money's going from last fall?
Last fall, yes. If they were doing it under the provision of this bill, they would have to coordinate with charters and distribution would go. So they would have to make the referendum adequate to meet the needs of both charters and traditional publics.
That's what I'm getting to. So to be very specific, in the case of Indianapolis Public Schools, if my math is right, almost exactly 1/4 of the referendum money would have had to go to non-public, in the sense of traditional public schools, but to charter schools. Is that right?
They are public schools, so I don't know what percentage.
Well, it's right here on the chart from the LSA that the head count is 25%.
Of IPS.
They said 25% levy would go to the charter schools. So the voters would have been asked then to not merely fund the schools owned by the district, but also to fund the schools that are actually owned by separate corporations. Is that right?
They'd be asked to fund public schools, whether they're charter or traditional public level.
But this would be the first time there'd be access to property tax.
That's correct.
For charter schools.
Correct.
In Gary, it would be 53%. Muncie would be 18.5%. In my district, the other district that I have is Washington Township. They'd be about 6% of the money, if they had a referendum, would have to go to the charter schools. But there's a structural difference. For example, the charter schools, I think there's one in Washington Township, they really don't have any real connection with the township other than physical location. That is to say, they don't draw on a pool of students largely from that township. They don't have the right, for example, if I understand it, one of my townships does not allow transfer students. So in Pike Township, all the students are residents, essentially all are residents of Pike Township. So we'll have people that don't have any real connection in terms of their student body to a district getting property tax revenue from the residents of that district. And this is something you support.
I think we're trying to figure out ways to equitably fund charter schools.
Well, I'm trying to think this through. So if I'm about to form a charter school under this bill, I could do two things. I could be a non-existent charter school and apply for an empty school, for example, that Washington Township wanted to leave empty for whatever reason. I could put my name in.
And they currently can do that as
right, but I have 2 years under this bill to actually start operating.
I think they currently as well do. Okay. So,
well, currently there's a 2-year hold. We get different math here. I'd have 2 years. Let me finish my thought. Okay. So I'm this new charter school. I see an empty building in some township. And by the way, let's get away from Washington Township. It's in Plainfield. For some reason, they're closing the school. Or Carmel now is closing the school. So I say, I want that school. I got 2 years to get started up in there. And then if the school district, the Carmel Clay District, has a referendum, I get a proportion of that referendum depending on my head count. It strikes me that this will draw people to move into districts that they don't currently exist in, based solely on the fact that there's an empty building. So we're going to capitalize, I mean that in a literal economic sense, we're going to capitalize this charter school that wants to move into Carmel, for example. We're going to either give them the building, or if they have the building, we're then going to give them a cut of the referendum. This is a dramatic change.